Soldiers, with and without their families, from the United States, Canada, Great Britain, France, Belgium, and Holland. Soldiers of all branches of the armed forces, volunteers and draftees, with one thing in common: they're stationed in Germany. Today, this nation of 76 million Germans in East and West is growing together again, after being divided for more than 40 years. And every soldier who was stationed here, alone through his physical presence on German soil, contributed to this peaceful union. As partners in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, they secured, together with the German armed forces, the freedom of this land. It is understandable that we hope to greet each and every departing soldier again in the future as a guest. Whether from across the Atlantic or from Europe, the NATO troops stationed in Germany have defended the freedom and safety of all the member nations. At the same time, they've contributed to the change from confrontation to cooperation in the relationship between East and West. Every soldier leaving Germany should remember that when packing for the trip home. A feeling of accomplishment can rightfully be taken along. Another thing which will surely accompany the soldier homewards is a picture of this country he served in. But this picture will be different for each individual soldier, made up of personal impressions and reminiscences. I can remember back when I was first unpacking this suitcase, so excited about being in Europe. It was just that I had absolutely no idea of where exactly in Europe I was. But during my time here, I've gotten a pretty good idea of Germany's size and position in the middle of the old world. To describe Germany's geographical position, you could say it borders in the north on the sea. To be more exact, it borders on two seas, the North Sea and the Baltic Sea. Hamburg, the largest city in the north, with 1.6 million residents. A third of the Germans live in metropolitan areas. Another third in rural areas. The rest live in small towns and villages, many of which still look like they did in the Middle Ages. As do the ancient castles along the Rhine, the major inland waterway, flowing past Cologne with its Gothic cathedral, one of the major landmarks of Christianity. Palaces and monasteries of the Baroque, an extravagant style which left its mark on this city, Munich, the capital of Bavaria, the gateway to the Alps. A jet would take less than an hour to fly from the northernmost sea to the Alps in the south. With its central position in the middle of Europe, Germany borders on 9 neighboring countries. In comparison to the United States or Canada, a small country with large contrasts. How did the foremaster get through that bottleneck? I found this Buddelschiff, or bottle ship, there where real windjammers still exist. The Hamburg Harbor, Germany's gateway to the world. Merchant cities of the Hanseatic League. The typical North German Gothic in brick. lovingly conserved Middle Ages in the midst of the pulsating present. Surrounded by fields, meadows, and seas, lies the Dutch headquarters in Zeedorf, near Zeven. Holland isn't far away, and the families of the soldiers enjoy coming to visit. That is, if the soldiers themselves aren't home on leave. Jogging may not be everyone's favorite form of recreation, but whatever they do, few spend their free time in the barracks. Clubs and shops in the area have adjusted to accommodate the boys from Holland. And over a beer, it's easy to establish contact with the natives. Many local clubs and organizations offer the chance for mutual recreation activities. For example, skydiving. That's a Funkenmariechen. The carnival in Cologne goes on for days, and everybody joins in and has a wild and crazy time. By the way, these are members of the Belgian Armed Forces, who celebrate their own carnival here. Belgium is nearby, and where its troops are stationed, many a German city has taken on Belgian features. Most of the professional Belgian soldiers have brought their families to Germany. Buses bring the children from the surrounding towns to central Belgian schools. Competition with German schools and sporting events has led to good contacts between the two nations.
Mijn bevel. Open de gelederen. Arish. De groof, muts, corrigeren. De stand van de muts is niet in orde. Ja.
And after work, there's always the attraction of the surrounding countryside. Speaking of work, what do the Germans do? What keeps their economy going so strong? The German presence at trade fairs around the world effectively demonstrates the success of their socialized free market economy. Lacking raw materials, but rich in skilled labor and technical knowledge, that is characteristic of the German economy, with its strengths in the automobile, engineering, chemical, pharmaceutical, and electronic industries. These branches also produce the largest share of the German exports. Practically every third German lives from export. Now the German social free market economy must prove itself where formerly a centrally misplanned state economy ruled. In the new eastern German states, this change has brought with it far-reaching social and economic problems, and at the same time an intensive pursuit of equitable solutions. The feeling of being in the driver's seat without moving an inch is what this simulator is all about. The reactions of drivers and vehicles to extreme situations can be safely tested and evaluated. Research is a key to success in the future, as in the field of solar energy or transportation. The trains of the future will travel nearly 400 kilometers an hour, directly into the hearts of the cities, offering an alternative to air travel within Germany. Whether passengers or goods, the greatest percentage move along the roads. Trucks carry 3 times as much freight as the railroads. Inland shipping transports a little less cargo than the railways. Bonn on the Rhine. Since 1949, the seat of the German parliament and government. This function will be taken over again in the future by Berlin. Germany is doing its part in the building of a united Europe and trying to reach a consensus on global political problems. And the Rhine? Why is it so fine on the Rhine? Asks a famous German song. Many a castle or town along the Rhine or Mosel rivers owes its existence to the Roman occupation 2,000 years ago. And it was the ancient Romans who introduced wine to the area. Cheers. Prosit. À votre santé. The wine must be old and the girl young. That's why it's so fine along the Rhine. There are places in Germany that look like they stepped right out of a fairy tale. Disneyland Live. These three are members of the British Armed Forces in Germany. By the end of their tour of duty, they'll have learned to eat hot dogs out of their hands. The traffic takes a little getting used to too. And to ride in a horse-drawn carriage is just the thing to adjust to driving on the right and not on the left, like back home in the United Kingdom. After a few months, they'll know what their favorite dishes are called and how to order them in German. They'll be accustomed to life in Germany, though not necessarily to sauerkraut and dumplings. Basic training lasts for 8 weeks. The volunteer soldiers normally remain in Germany for a longer period of time, flying home for free for 3 weeks of vacation each year. By the way, every 12th married British soldier has married a German Fräulein. It's a tradition that every year a member of the royal family visits his troops here. At some point, the routine of daily life in Germany will take over, and he'll probably stop getting into cars on the wrong side. He'll probably have trouble readjusting to back home. Speaking of cars and readjusting, who'd ever have thought that the world's greatest luxury limousine would be available on every street corner? It's easy to get used to traveling in such style. A little harder to get used to is the juxtaposition of the old and the new, the profane and the sacred. But after all, this is the old world. One is thousands of miles from home. It's only natural that everything is different. Well, maybe not everything. Off-duty means just that. Out of the uniform and on the town. And when that town is Heidelberg, then it's a must. And not just because it's the home of the U.S. headquarters. The city on the Neckar not only has a famous castle and Germany's oldest university, but also many buildings from the Middle Ages, and a helping hand is always available for a lost guest.
Oh yeah. Does it take dollars?
Come together. The best way to get to know the customs and culture of another country is to try them out. Many a lasting friendship has developed around barbecued ribs. There are places around the bases, though, where you'd swear you'd never left home, which is good. After all, there are some things you just can't do without.
Was möchten Sie trinken?
Ein großes Bier, bitte.
Nothing overcomes language barriers better than personal encounters. In Germany, an empty seat is an invitation to sit down. And during the course of a meal, it's only natural that neighbors get to know each other. Eating in the continental fashion looked so easy when he did it. We sat there for hours, and I learned what gemütlich means. The bear is the symbol of Berlin, and Berlin is definitely worth a trip. The landmarks of a city that was divided for years. Divided by the wall, the symbol of oppression. November 9th, 1989. The citizens of East Germany force an opening in the wall. "We are the people" is their rallying cry, aimed at the oppressive machinery of the state. And the people refuse to submit any longer. The wall comes tumbling down, turns piece by piece into a souvenir. Berlin will become the capital of the now undivided Germany and the seat of its government. What was divided is growing together again, a dynamic process which would never have been possible without the solidarity of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the soldiers it stationed in Germany. Thanks to them, younger Germans in East and West are getting to know parts of their country which were strictly restricted until now. I got this at the place where they make such cuckoo clocks, in the Black Forest. Now that really made an impression. A part of that impression is owed to the French and Canadian soldiers who are stationed here and voluntarily pitch in to help clean up storm and flood damage. They've also been known to help the local wine growers at vintage time. The proximity to France makes it feasible to dash home for the weekends. On the other hand, the mostly young French soldiers have friendly relations with the townsfolk, and it's not unusual to find them spending the holidays under a German Christmas tree. And then there are the wine festivals. Wine brings joy and makes friends. And a friend is just what the French recruits need when they first move into the barracks as young draftees, fresh out of the provinces and away from home for the first time. Together with basic training, the tour of duty lasts another 10 months. Before they know it, they've gotten used to the uniforms, the marching, and the songs, and are thinking about signing on for an additional 6 months.
Vous mettez en fente avant comme ça et vous la jetez en fouettant. Fouettant du poignet. Compris?
No, these balls don't explode. They're used for more peaceful pursuits. What has exploded is the number of organizations with both French and German members, and the number of partnerships between French and German units. These offer plenty of opportunities to get to learn firsthand about the customs and lifestyles of the other country. You might say they open up a whole new perspective. can't believe I drank this well myself. But I did at Munich's Oktoberfest. But there's a lot more to Munich than just beer. On with the show. Every evening on over 500 German stages. Opera and operetta, dance and musicals. Theater and cabaret, reviews and concerts. The fine arts are highly regarded, popular and classical, old and new. I always dreamed that one day I'd have a castle all my very own. Practice makes perfect. For the British soldiers, skiing is a mandatory course once a year at the school in Sonthofen. In a couple of days, he'll be able to stay on his feet. Countless students have found themselves becoming addicted to the slopes. It's just good that you don't have to ski in your own kilt. From the Alps in the south to the seas in the north, people of a nation which has developed a vigorous feeling of being integrated in a multinational, multicultural community. All in all, I had a very good time. Now I'll be taking my Germany home with me in this suitcase. But I'm already thinking about Auf Wiedersehen.